Hey guys, welcome to Awesome Enterprise Video Tutorials. In this tutorial, we are learning the concept of Common Table Expression CTE in MySQL. So this CTE is nothing but we can store the temporary result set that exists within the execution of single query. So what it means? Let's check how the CTE works. So when we are talking about CTE, it means we are working with clause. Now let's check the sample. So I have created one table applicant meta. So in that you can see the values are stored in key value pair. So you can see the applicant one as object ID, and this object ID contains all the fields, that is full name, gender, home address, and the applicant ID and the email ID. Now let's check how we can retrieve the record using the common table expression. Now we will work with this one. So as you can see, these are the records. Those are stored in key value pair, and now we will simplify this result with common table expression. Now let's check how the with query works. Now it will start with keyword. Now we will fetch the applicant one data. Now this will be our object ID. Now we can have the 7 rows, and we will fetch the rows one by one. So we will fetch the first record, that is full name of this applicant. Now let's check. Now we will consider this as our Q0, that is query 0, and we will fetch select object ID as applicant ID from applicant meta, where object ID is equal to this, and meta key equal to full name. Now the result of this query is stored in Q0. Now we will fetch the record from Q0. Now you can see the record, that is object ID, is this. So this one row is fetched. Now the result of this query is stored in this Q0. Now we will add one more column, that is meta value as full name. So we are fetching the full name and the applicant ID. Now we will add the gender of this applicant. Now what we can do, we will create one more query to fetch the result, and we will store this query result into Q1. Now let's create our select query. Select previous query dot star. So we are fetching all the records from the previous query, that is our Q0, from Q0 as previous query, and the columns meta value as gender. So we are fetching all the columns from the previous query and the meta value, that is gender, from this applicant meta. Now we will join applicant meta. So we have applicant ID on applicant ID and object ID of this applicant meta. So those columns are matched when meta key gender. So we are fetching the meta key based on the object ID and the applicant ID. Both values are same, and we are joining this on applicant meta table. Now you can see the result. So this result is stored in Q1. Now you can see the gender of this applicant appears in the next column. So we are storing the result in this query, that is Q1. So similarly we can add the columns likewise. Now we will fetch the address one. So basically this will help you to understand or to work with the complex query in very simple manner. So now let's fetch the address one based on applicant ID and the object ID. I have missed this column, comma. Now the columns are duplicate. Now we will add the home address one. Now you can see the address one is added. So likewise you can add the n number of rows with the column. You can store your query result as a temporary result set, and you can retrieve by using the select command at the end of the result set. Now the scope of this result set is destroyed after the select command or this query execution. Now if we hit the select star from Q0, so the scope of Q0 is not available here, so it will throw an error that Q0 does not exist. So the scope of this result set is limited till the execution of this query. So this is how the with query works. Now you can create the table with this as well. Create table tmp test sample, and you can simply access it likewise. So if you want to store the data and then you want to retrieve the data, you can simply put it into a table and then you can fetch it from that table. So this is how the common table expression works. This will help you to manage your complex query in very simple and human readable format in very simplified manner. So when n number of developers work on the same project, so this will help you to read or maintain your query in very simplified manner. So this is how the with query works. Thank you.